is that we're in a situation where, well, we're going to have to, I know I'm going to go to the Vice President in a second.
Today we have for you the latest in the private feud between Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, and there's a new bombshell article out of the New York Post that gives even some more details and context to the entire situation, and you'll want to hear it. So folks, I'm Vince for RTM News. If you enjoy the content, please do us a big favor by hitting that subscribe button down below. Why should you subscribe? Because that way it ensures we can keep bringing you these videos. We are a small channel trying to get off the ground, and your subscriptions certainly go a long way, and it is greatly appreciated. Now, with that said, before we get into this article, it should be well established and obvious by now that Trump was right at that presidential debate. Joe Biden hates Kamala Harris.
Biden's incompetent, and the only advantage is that I believe he hates her more than he hates me, and he hates me a lot, all right? But Biden's a grossly incompetent person. I believe she's worse, and it took him a couple of days to think of that one. But here's what's really bad. They got hit with a very bad hurricane.
Now, the little private riffs and subtle jabs of Biden towards Kamala have been going on for quite a while, but take a look now this week as Biden appears to try to one-up her or steal her time away or just cut her off at a cabinet meeting. This video is very interesting. Check it out.
Is that we're in a situation where, well, we're going to have to, I know I'm going to go to the Vice President in a second. She's my boss. We're going to be, hang on a second, Madam Vice President. Sure. We're going to be going to the Congress. We're going to need a lot of help. We need a lot more money as we identify specifically how much is needed. So I'm just telling everybody now, I don't want to hear that this is going to be the end of it. So with that, I'll yield to the Vice President.
You can't even deny it. The passive aggressiveness between Biden and Kamala in that clip is so strong. You know, the hold on 1 minute. You know, oh yeah, you're the president, right? Yeah, no, like Biden is clearly saying, don't you forget, I made you. I'm the one who still has the power here, Madam quote unquote Vice President. It's just so hilarious. And shortly before this, just about last week when Hurricane Milton was ravaging a lot of Florida, Joe Biden directly contradicted Kamala Harris's claims that Ron DeSantis was politicizing that disaster relief. And this was yet again another recent example of Joe Biden kind of trying to undermine or sabotage Kamala Harris. Check it out.
The governor of Florida has been cooperative. He said he's gotten all that he needs. I talked to him again yesterday, and I said, I said, no, you're doing a great job. It's all being done well. We thank you for it. And I literally gave my personal phone number to call. So I don't know. There was a rough start in some places, but every governor from Florida to North Carolina has been fully cooperative and supportive and acknowledged what this team is doing. And they're doing an incredible job. But we got a lot more to do.
Right, so Kamala Harris went out and tried to make a really big deal out of Ron DeSantis is politicizing this. He wouldn't take my phone calls. He's not cooperating with the federal government. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is going out saying, yes, he is. Okay, and part of the reason why Kamala is not obligated a phone call is because she actually has absolutely no role in the disaster relief of the Biden administration, which is pretty hilarious. But that all leads us, all that recent drama gives us the recent New York Post article that was published yesterday that talks about Biden sabotaging Kamala Harris's presidential campaign after being forced to drop out of the re-election bid. pundits are saying. So we're going to read for you some of this article here, and feel free to let me know your thoughts on this analysis down in the comments. So President Biden is so bitter about being forced to drop his re-election bid by top members of his own party that he is deliberately sabotaging Kamala Harris's campaign, according to a growing chorus of political pundits. Since being pressured out of the race in July over fears about declining cognitive abilities, Biden has done little for Harris beyond endorsing her and has largely been a no-show at his vice president's campaign events. And that's very interesting. Never really thought about that, but it's very true, right? Where has Joe Biden been really on the campaign trail? And sure, you could say on one hand that, well, Kamala Harris doesn't want him there because Joe Biden is so unpopular and Kamala's doing everything that she can to distance herself from Biden. And while that is certainly true, I don't know, maybe Biden would help in a place like Pennsylvania, right? Because considering how badly Kamala is doing with that white working class vote, who knows, maybe send Scranton Joe out there to give something a try. But clearly, again, they don't really want to work with each other, and that's very obvious. He's also pulled the spotlight from his intended successor on numerous occasions, including delivering his own comments last week on how the White House is responding to Hurricane Helene, even after Harris canceled a Las Vegas campaign event and hurried back to DC to be briefed on the storm's impact, and we just talked about that there. The lame duck leader has also served up a plethora of cringe-worthy actions that have left Donald Trump-loving conservatives salivating. They include sporting a Trump 2024 cap during a 9/11 anniversary event last month, and many of you will remember that as well.
There's a little more to the story. I was struck by this sentence in the BBC, Emily. It said the daughter of the man who swapped hats with the president said Biden kept the Trump hat. After the interaction, she said that her father ended up getting another cap from the Trump campaign after they reached out. So he kept the hat. I mean, does he have it by his bedside in the White House?
I don't know. It's so weird to me, you guys. But
We continue here. Meanwhile, there has been growing tension in recent months between Biden advisors and Harris over the dueling interest of remaining loyal to the unpopular president while also promoting herself on the campaign trail as representing change, according to multiple reports. Quote, Biden is intentionally enacting revenge on Kamala for knifing him in the back, claimed Jason Meister, a Republican political strategist who sits on the advisory board for Trump. He never liked her. The happiest he's looked in 4 years was when he put on a red Trump 2024 hat in Pennsylvania. He should just come out and endorse Trump. You know, it's an interesting point, right? Hank Scheinkopf, a New York-based Democrat strategist, called Biden's refusal to embrace Harris's campaign a possible, quote, power move to ensure that people understand who the boss still is. It would be absolutely ridiculous, he's quoting here, to assume that he has no resentment over how he was treated or how, frankly, he was forced out in what some would consider a coup, the veteran campaign consultant said. Why hasn't he appeared in places where he could do some good, like parts of Pennsylvania and states that the president buoyed during his term? Nobody wants to give up being president of the United States. It's one job you do not want to leave. Of course, we have spokespeople for the White House trying to say that this is not true publicly. Of course, White House spokesman Andrew Bates said the critics, quote, seem to have missed that Biden made it clear that he was all in for Harris out of the gate when he left the campaign and has consistently fought for her and praised her leadership to the country. And it's like, okay, if that's all true, then why are you guys actively interrupting each other?
I do have a note, and I'm curious what you think about this. We were actually about to go live to Vice President Kamala Harris, who's speaking right now in Detroit, Michigan, and apparently she's talking about this port strike ending. She's trying to appeal to union workers, and yet you have the President of the United States come out clearly overshadowing her, answering significant questions. Is that a communications mistake? Is the left hand not talking to the right hand in this situation?
That's a very good point. And if they were coordinated, as you assume they would be, this would not have happened.
Yeah, again, I think it's very obvious what is really going on here, okay? And wouldn't that be the funniest ending to the story, which is, in the end, it was Joe Biden, E2 Brute, it was Joe Biden who ultimately screwed over and sabotaged the Kamala Harris 2024 campaign with just a tiny amount of little, puppet string pulling in one direction. Very funny to see. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. And until next time, I've been Vince with RTM News. Peace.